No, I'm not doing this.
What is up, gang? You know what it is. Friday, live stream time. Here with Arturo, too chicken to do the intro and let his loud out. Look at that. I got dropped down to his height. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Look at you. Can't even see him now.
That's wicked work.
Can't even see him now. What's going on, Arturo? What are you up to now?
Being interrupted.
Being interrupted. What he actually doing, and what I'm going to do is make sure these microphones working, because God, that would suck if it was just muted right now. You pulling a trans on this one?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you know who this is, you know who this is. If you don't need to know who it is. But someone out there may be watching and may know who this is. Them big ass 26s making them brakes look small, even though these things are Mongo. These are big ass wheels, yo. John, you need some of these. Put these on the I almost said a bad word. Put those on the Wrangler, bro. Put them on the Wrangler. You think these will go crazy on a Jeep? On a Wrangler?
They go crazy.
They go crazy. I'm kind of liking them. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of liking them. That rose gold, you know what I mean? So let me, I guess let's just walk around. Okay. So my earbud don't work, so I can't actually hear what's going on. But I believe it's working. Yeah, it's not going to my earbud, so I have to like listen to it on the speaker, and then they hear the feedback and all that. So just probably not say anything, but we're okay. Anyway, this sucker. So, fun fact for you. I believe I want to say this one is a 20 or 21 Durango RT. So anytime we take off an intake manifold or exhaust manifolds, when we put them back on, we smoke test them to make sure everything's good. Well, when we put this 5.7 intake manifold back on, it actually had a leak. Where's his intake? Is it okay? It's still up in there. So this is a 5.7 just for an example, and you can see right here, it's kind of a two-part design, and we smoke tested his intake, and it started leaking right here. So eventually, this gentleman's going to go boost. Right now, it's just a stroker setup to go boost, but we want to make sure. There it is. Yeah, 20. Thank you, Armando. We want to make sure that there aren't any leaks. It's going to throw off tuning, throw off fueling, throw off everything. So that little seam, because it's a two-piece molded together, can cause issues. So because we did ported heads, because we're doing long tube headers, because it's a stroker and it's got tons of airflow, we're not putting no 5.7 back on. Ooh-wee. This is all you, Armando. Fresh off the truck, baby. Here, let me just get this Johnny going. So we're still waiting for some other parts, but he's going full bore. Already did all the fun stuff. Why leave that 5.7 on when you can get the short runner, long runner set up with this? So 6.4 manifold. We're getting an MDS window switch because it's a 5.7 truck, so it will control the short runner valves. That way you can have the length, the shortness, whatever you need. Typically, give or take, we see about 20, 30-ish horsepower. Every setup's different, so it's hard for an exact number. But these are much, much, much more efficient, better flow, look sexier, look more attractive, cuter. Just all around a better setup. Look at that. Fit my whole damn hand in there. Big boy. Versus that Johnny unit. So if you've never seen the back of a 5.7 intake manifold, there's a big ass hole in the back, and there's some other crap going on, and other garbage. I hate those. This is the way to go. I'm doing that on my own car. He's doing that on his car. This thing is going to be a riot when it's done. We're getting close. It's just a few more pieces before we can throw that on, and then we're making some steam, baby. Making some steam. This one was a Whipple car, and just so you guys can see, this is oil. Oil! Ugh. I shouldn't have done that. This is what gets caught by a catch can. This gentleman had catch cans. We're going to end up doing a different setup with, what do you call it, valve covers that have better baffles in them, better PCV allowances so we can have better ports for better catch cans, so this don't happen. He's going turbo. It's still on my finger. It's kind of gross. Let's see. So, little helium manifolds. We also did a rear main mower in here. We're going a converter in the sucker. Whole bunch. And this thing is going to be a fun son of a gun, I tell you that much, fellas. Probably my favorite style of SRT. Oh my God, everyone wants to see the Hawk on wheels. Woo! Turtle, stand next to them so they can get a size comparison. Come on, everyone wants to see it. Everyone needs to see. These are 26s, y'all. This is not a small setup. This is big ballin', big pimpin' money shit. This is tight. So he's got some bracing, some arms going on, some arms going up. Look at him go. Where's that hand?
Who does that?
Stock headers. Not for long, baby. He's going turbos at some point. Maybe, possibly. I'm trying to convince him. You think he should go turbos?
I hate turbos.
That's because he has to do the work. But when he drives them, he likes them. Yeah, that's why you own like 7 Subarus. What's all done? My mouth is sealed. My mouth is sealed because I ain't trying to let people know what he got going on, because he ain't trying to let people know what's going on. If you know the owner, you can ask him, but I'm not going to tell because I'm a good boy. Let's see what else we got going on. Little intake off. Little level 1 Reno going on, huh, Dan?
Yep.
Yeah!
Sweaty.
Sweaty.
Hot.
Let's get a sweat review. Sweat check. Look at that brow. Wet with work, gang.
Yep.
Listen, fellas, Tanner, I'm glad you've come to the light side, baby. Turbos are the move. Everyone's doing it. If you're not doing it, you're 5 years behind. It's sick. It's awesome. The only downside is the peso amount. But once you get over that, once you commit to the balling, it's worth it. So I'm kind of like these little Baja Design hood-mounted lighter Renos. They're kind of dope, gang. I kind of like that. Cool little truck, gang. Ooh. I know we don't do Fords, but I love a Thunderbird. Hubba. If anyone knows of like a pretty rusted one, I'm trying to get me a drift car, and that might make a good candidate. So, little Vossens on there. We just had some front runners show up. Finally, they were back ordered for a bit, but they're here now. From my boy Ben, going round and round. We just gotta wait on the wheelios, and then we can get them set up with that thing. But that sucker is minty. So, this little number, this was a Whipple car. Had a couple Whipple womps, and he said, you know what? I'm tired of it. I'm tired, Grandpa. So he is going Helians. He's doing Helians, a billet intake manifold. So the Whipple's off. The long tubes are off. We got these Piperinos that mount to the stock Mannies to mount the Tweebos. So it's going to be a plain Jane shitting getting truck. This thing is going to fly. Pretty much everything on it is built to the 9s. It's just in need of turbos. So now that it's got some, she's going to be moving out. Let's see what else. Mr. Matt, he said show the Charger some love. So we're just waiting on some parts. We're reverting back to stock transcooler. The transcooler that was on it when he bought it was huge with ginormous lines. And it constantly had a limp mode. So, perchance pressure type. You know what I mean? Big old lines, a little bit less pressure. Perchance a limp mode. It happens, you know what I mean? So, we're going back. It's just 20-year-old car, lots of dealer communications to make sure that we get in the right parts the first time. Doing it right, baby. So, these Brembos, whew, so hot. And there, if you guys ever wonder, hey, I have a full fuel system. I want to run your E85 setup. Where do I mount my ethanol content sensor? It's right there. It's right there. So you get these lines, these little quick connect ethanol fittings. Sorry, it's focusing. You just cut line, add them, put this in the middle on your return, and Bob's your uncle. Fuel filter's there. When the wheel liner is in, it literally goes whomp, So all this stuff is protected from spray, all that, and it's out of the way. It's not underneath. I mounted my filter underneath. I've hit it on shit. Don't do that. Mount it up here. I just wanted my car to run. But mount it up here. So, and this carbon. Woo! Woo! So good. So good, guys. Turo, when's the Mini getting carbon? When you doing a full carbon hood swap on the Mini? The people want to know. What's next for the Koopa? What's next for the Koopa?
I just did a full suspension on it.
He did. He did some, what was them? Teen S-Tex and then Coney yellow shocks. Orange shocks. That son of a gun is stiff, my boys.
Yeah, orange, Coney shocks.
It rides like coils. With Teen S-Tex, straight from Japan. Overnight parts from Japan, baby. So, I like them. I put them on my Civic too. Just the rear, because I didn't have time to do the front, because I literally had to cut every single bolt because of rust. We live in the Midwest. Rust is the thing. So when you bring us your 20-year-old car and say, yeah, it's clean, and you haven't gotten underneath it and seen that there's tons of rust, yeah. So carbon fiber. Oh, you can't even see. Carbon fibre, carbon fibre, carbon fibre, carbon fibre. So much carbon fibre. So much carbon fibre, it makes me jealous. I kind of want a carbon fibre trunk for Les 300. I also think I want to learn French. I think that could be fun. Thoughts on that? Anyone out there know French? I don't. That's why I said I want to learn it. Last thing before we go in, little washy wash, the Unkmobile. Unkmobile getting its shine on. You can see right up there. It's old man. It's the old man special. He got them chrome tips shining. God. Lee. Not gonna lie, it's an NA 4-cylinder. It sounds surprisingly decent. Obviously, it ain't no V8, but the MagnaFlow kind of helps her out a bit. Wish we actually sell that exhaust. So even if you don't have a Dodge, we can get you stuff like that. No, Jeff, I completely know the cost. I just don't care about my future finances enough, and I really should. Ideally, the carbon Magnum hatch before anything, but no one makes it because no one's a baller, no one's a pimp. So we got AO cracking it out, making parts, breaking hearts, sometimes having a little fart. So doing his thing, I'm not going to bother him too much. He's in the zone, and I don't want to distract him. So I think that's about it. What else is going on? Level 1.5 over there, just about finished. Got some street tunings, a little bit more work to do. Just got back from alignment. I'm not going to show Matt. Gonna hide his face. The beautiful Durango. This was a level 2.5, so that's upper, lower, flex fuel. And we said, you know what? What if we added a ported blower? So blower just got back. That's going to be going on shortly. And this son of a gun is going to have a lot of fun, my boys. So that's kind of it. Nothing too crazy, just normal stuff. I'm going to be real with y'all. The red eye spoiler for the Chargers for the 15 up, just buy it, dude. It looks so good. It's worth the $1,200. It's kind of worth it. Is it? Jeremy, question. Is the red eye style spoiler for the Charger, it's like $1,200 if it's carbon, is it worth it? Because it does look pretty pimping. It does look really good. Would you personally spend that money on one, though?
No.
What would you put it towards? This is for Jeff.
Whatever's needed. Jeff needs transmission, torque converter, and bumper exit.
You know what? That $1,200 is close to the price of that custom converter.
Mm-hmm. So yes, no, it's not worth it.
Jeff, get the converter. Oh my God. I kind of want to show CJ working. We're just out here. Oh, I can't. Can I zoom? Oh, I can. There he is. Look at him. Captain Helmet now makes parts. Now designs intakes, all that stuff. If you guys have a 3D printed intake, there's a high chance that this beautiful gentleman back here looking there, he made it. Ooh, let's not get that close to me. So, how's everyone doing? You guys excited about the heat wave coming up? I'm not. I don't know. know. I mean, people are talking like they can hear me, so I'm going to assume they can hear me. I'm going to go put my earbud in so I can actually make sure.
Oh.
Or disconnect, reconnect. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't know what you mean.
Are we starting? What do you want to start with? The could you should you? Do you want to start?
No,
with
we'll
the,
talk about this
of the event.
Yeah. Why don't we start with could you?
I don't know. Just
The
change
end,
it up on
That's
them
when
a
people
bit.
get questions from what we talk about. So I don't know if they can hear me.
We're gonna find out. I can put this in. Had to save up.
Yeah.
Hidden talent. What's the hidden talent?
What?
Where's the old man? Because we didn't get the Unk Wisdom of the day.
Test drive.
Okay. I don't know if my Bluetooth works anymore.
Oh, you broke it?
Yeah. Let me just,
Can you guys hear me?
sec.
Can you hear me okay? We're trying
Oh.
to use mics in. What?
Okay, it's connected.
I don't know if they can hear me.
Let's see.
Oh, he says you can
Yeah,
hear me.
you
so
can
I
hear
guess
him.
it's working.
We can hear him
Okay,
clear
cool.
as day.
What's going on, everybody? Oh, it's like, that's my car. What's doing that?
It's hot. It's muggy.
it's
It's,
muggy.
humid. It's
Yeah.
abysmal. It's hateful. Anything on the dyno's making
It's
100,000 horsepower less.
Yeah. And then on and off of the rain, we got a little break here for a second, but it's
Yeah.
been 2 days of rain. It rained this morning. Now we're supposed to have some this afternoon, which is great. It's great.
It's killing the street tuning schedule.
Oh yeah, it's
Oh my God.
great. It's outstanding. So
Yeah.
And then fortunately we're not here for the next 2 days because man, they're saying
Like 105,
Yeah,
110
105,
heat index.
yeah,
so,
but we did want to move to Texas, so I guess
Right.
got to get used to it, right?
guys, real quick.
Yeah.
Not that it matters.
Oh no.
So I have 2 polls that I want answers to.
Oh jeez. Can this wait till the end after we
yeah.
talk about the subject?
Yeah.
Stuff that matters, like tuning.
Tuning.
So it's in the name, right? It's kind of where we kicked off and got our name off the ground. So we talk about this on the lives every couple of months. We revisit it, season changes and things like that. So we're transitioning right into summer now, and you're starting to see people jump tuners or projects are getting built, things are breaking. So people are fixing things, and it's time to tune, right? So right now we're also seeing a wave of another, I guess, fad, I would call it, in regards to how to tune a vehicle. It came from the GM world, which is a little different than us in the Gen 3 Hemi. So we're going to kind of cover the 3 ways you can get tuned, okay? So the first one we're going to start off is remote tuning. So for those, a lot of people in this group have done it with me, probably almost everybody, since you're not here.
I have.
So, number one, remote tuning is all done via email and or via the phone. So there's the TDN app by HP Tuners that we use that allows you to flash tunes, take data logs, and pretty much handle everything you need. So what's the process? We basically send you you take the read, that's the first step, send it to me. And then we will modify a tune, send it back, you flash it, take a data log, and then you send that back. We use that information to then create a new tune, and then we repeat. Okay, so that's remote tuning. It literally is a cycle. Now, at different points of the tuning, I will request different types of drive style. So we'll start off with idle, right? Revs at idle. Driving with part throttle, more aggressive throttle, wide open throttle. If there's some weird thing going on, we'll target that, right? So there's a lot that can be achieved through remote tuning, okay? And after I go over the 3, we will then cover pros and cons to all of them as well. So number 2 is dyno tuning, what people consider dyno tuning. So I'm going to refer to it more as in-house tuning, okay? And here's the reason why. Dyno tuning is just one portion of what we do, and it's honestly the quickest and usually the easiest portion of tuning a vehicle. Wide open throttle is what we do for dyno tuning. When weather's bad, I will utilize the dyno for simulation street tuning, but that means I only can tune one car at a time versus street tuning. I bounce between multiple cars a day.
Plus the prep time to actually get it set up.
Right.
It's time consuming.
But dyno tuning, what people think is what we're doing or utilizing the dyno for everything is basically putting it on a chassis dyno or hub dyno, and then you run it through the simulations you need to collect the data, and then the process is the same as remote tuning. Data log, write a tune, repeat. Data log, write a tune, repeat. Same cycle, just different location. It's in-house. We do street tune and dyno tune every vehicle here if we can legally bring it onto the road. So there are some race cars and things like that we can't put on the street, but it is what it is, right? Part of the nature of it. So that's option 2. Option 3, like I said, came from the GM world, something newer to the Gen 3 Hemi community, is bench flashing. So what that is you physically send your PCM to somebody, like you send it to us for unlocking, but in the process now, we're seeing more and more, and we're actually getting inquiries about it more and more, and that's why we're talking about it, of people offering bench flash tunes. So basically what that is you get a wiring harness out of a car, you change the pinouts and everything to generate the power that you need, and get a fake OBD2 port and plug into that, and then you are able to essentially write a tune file without it being in a vehicle. So,
but how do you data log?
Well, so we'll go over that. So that's the 3 ways of tuning. Okay, so like Tulo mentioned, with the bench flash, there's no data log. With the bench flash, there's no revisions, right? At that point, right? So we'll get into the pros and cons of all 3. So we'll start with remote tuning. The beauty of remote tuning is you are normally the one driving the car. So what better way to dial a vehicle in than based off of how you drive your own vehicle? So
everyone drives different. How he drives is different from how I drive, is different from how AO.
Yep.
Everyone here drives different.
Very different. And we'll get into that with the in-house tuning portion. But it's going to be based off of your throttle input, your likes, your dislikes, what you feel, right? What you want out of your vehicle.
It's tailored to your driving style for your vehicle, for you.
Right. And then on top of it, loads are actual, right? You are actually on the street. So you hear us talk about load. That's basically a measurement in the system to determine how hard an engine is working, right? So from boost levels, if you're boosted, to when and how a turbo might spool or boost builds up, highway conditions, everything like that. It's actual, guys. So remote tuning is outstanding. And the big argument on the internet we see all the time is, dyno tuning is better than remote tuning. Well, guess what? Not really, and this is why, and this is my opinion on it too. Again, it comes to the load and real life results. I have a handful of guys racing in Sick Week, Sick Summer right now, where they were driving to different tracks, they're racing. How do you get any better data than that, right? On the road, actual conditions, actual racing,
doing
actual
what
load,
you use the vehicle
right?
for.
You don't get that on a dyno. Now, there are ways to simulate it on a dyno, right? You can get loaded dynos, you can put it, and things like that, but it's still going to be simulated, and you really don't know if it's accurate. Also, the different gear changes, right? Where in the world, for most of us, very small percentage of us, are going to go, on an 8-speed transmission to 6 gear and do a 1-to-1 pull from 2,000 RPM up to 65, or if you're built motor 7, right? Even higher. It's not realistic. That's what a dyno does. A dyno gives us a full RPM sweep into higher gear, which allows for, deeper and heavier load, but again, not real world, okay? And the truth is, because of the lack of load, you really shouldn't, I know they advertise it with the simulated drag times on the dynos where you can literally launch it and do things like that. It's to me, unnecessary abuse, and for those that don't know, you can damage things by abusing a vehicle without load. So this is why there's limiters in park and neutral that you shouldn't really remove, because you can damage things without load.
You're saying I shouldn't just free rev my motor to 72?
Remember that one that came in where a tuner set the park neutral limit to 7,000 and they had a bad airflow table?
I sure do.
Started it and the car revved to 7,000 RPM and took the motor out.
Yep.
Not kidding. It was a stock Trackhawk. Well, not stock. It was a modified pulley setup Trackhawk.
Nothing like heavy.
Nothing heavy, right? Not built motor or anything, but stock motor with pulley combination on it. And the tuner at the time set the park neutral rev limiter 7,000, and they had a bad tune. And you start it, and it free revved to 7,000 RPM.
He just like, it doesn't drive good.
Yeah, nice and cold, and it basically took the motor out. So, it's things like that to consider. So I'm not a big fan of doing these massive rips on the dyno for second, third, fourth, fifth gear just because it sounds cool, right? I don't have a loaded dyno. Maybe on a properly loaded dyno, I get it, you know what I mean? But the truth is, it's a tuning tool, okay? So again, back to the pros of a remote tune is it's actual and it's you driving it, okay? Now, the cons to remote tuning. As a tuner myself, when I have a vehicle on the dyno or I'm street tuning it, I use every single sense that I have, right? All 6 senses. Just kidding.
He's got a secret tuning sense.
That's right. But we use all our senses, from literally smell, maybe taste, because if it's really lean and
what's
dumping
that
fuel,
fluid underneath the car?
Right.
Oil.
So maybe just 4 senses, but we use most of our senses during the tuning process, from sound to feel, we're hypersensitive to it. Most tuners are. I thought that was running. So we lose that when we're just looking at a computer, okay? So I do make the noises and simulate it in my head, but I can't feel anything. I can't hear anything. I am literally reading data that your vehicle provided to me. So you on the other end now have to be my ears, my feel, and even my sound by some of the things you might see while we're going through, right? So that's one of the downsides from a tuner standpoint is I lose all of that and do have to rely on you on the user end. But again, it does help you get more in tune with your vehicle as we go through the tuning process. So anybody that's worked with me knows I welcome questions, and what better way to learn and know your vehicle than put it through the ropes as you dial it in, because you're going to learn what's right, and then when something changes, you're going to be more aware of it, okay? Versus you drop a car off stock and you pick it up modified, and now you think every sound it makes is not normal. It probably is after the modifications that you make, and you're just not privy to the process. So don't hit 2. Whoever's calling, we will call you back. So that's what you lose in a remote tuning session. The other one is for the wide open throttle. It can be dangerous, right?
You're on the street.
You're on the street.
Uncontrolled environment.
In Mexico.
A deer
right?
can jump out in front of you. A
Yeah.
Prius C can pull out in front of you. I hate those Prius Cs with all my heart.
Yep.
Anything can happen.
Yep.
So it is, and especially when people ask, "Oh, why don't you street turn when it's wet out?" Because it adds a level of liability and of danger that isn't needed.
I'm not taking that risk for your vehicle or my safety. It's not that I don't trust myself or the vehicle I'm in. It's more so the other people on the road. And for those that haven't visited my shop, we are in the middle of a crappie field area. There's not a lot of people around, but we got a lot of trucks and a lot of people that don't pay attention.
No.
So
people coming off the interstate.
Yeah, so it's just
Virginia
not worth
drivers.
the risk. I will extend tuning time out for safety and liability, and it's just the way that it is. I will put them back on the dyno and continue to try to do what I can, but for completion of it, I do want to make sure I put it through the ropes. Okay, so we'll get to that in a second. And that's the big thing about it. So there's a great relationship that can be built. I have seen over the years a lot of people do learn a lot through the remote tuning process. Very scary. I understand at first, but especially now with HP Tuners really advancing the TDN app from the phone, it's easier than ever. So you actually can dial your vehicle in 100%.
You don't need a computer.
Without a computer, completely wireless. I do it all the time. Have hundreds of customers that are utilizing it, and it's gotten better. So that's the one thing is they are continuing. In early stages, it was rough, but it is a night and day difference now. So yeah, it's one of those things that it will, it's definitely worth it in my opinion. So don't be afraid of remote tuning. All right. Now, dyno tuning or in-house tuning, however you want to reference it, where you bring the vehicle to me. Again, safety reasons, right? It's much safer for the wide open throttle abuse portion. I don't have to worry about anything around me. You don't. I get to focus on the sensors and the readings I need to, get that done. So you also get a nice little dyno sheet. It's a tool, everybody. We don't really care about that big number. We use it for advertising like everybody does. At the end of the day, it's what your vehicle likes. So we can see as we make changes, does it like it or does it not? So it does allow that. Now, from a street standpoint, I still can use sensors to see that. I just don't know what the actual output is at that point. I can still get to the same point. I just don't have a number behind it, okay? And this point is different for every vehicle. And again, we are just using those sensors to get to it. But for the dyno, it gives a visual to people. So
my Magnum, I put it on E. We did the 93 tuning, all on the dyno. I switched to the 85. It never went back on the dyno ever again. Drove it all over the place. Went my times I wanted to go. Drove across country. Literally never saw the dyno again. I don't really know what it makes on E. I'm not too upset. I don't care. The car works how it's supposed to. It has the same quality tune it would have had we put it on the dyno.
Right. And we've done tests where people that have remote tune have brought their cars here and we dyno it, and it produces what we expect. And I might tweak it a little just to see, and it doesn't change or improve, right? And if there is, it's maybe 1%, right? Yeah. So
you're not really leaving horse.
No.
You're not leaving 50 horse on the table because you went for a remote tune over a dyno tune.
Right.
It's purely a tool.
Yeah, and a lot of that does come from. Track times are great because we truly can see the mile an hour. We can see the 60 foot. We can see what we're doing and how it's changing it. People joke, but the Draggy is a great tool to do kind of the same thing to see what the changes are, right? So it's in a controlled environment. 60 to 130, and the changes made by tuning allows you to really adjust and dial what you need to see what the changes are. I mean, I actually tuned my C8 Vet by doing that. And it works. I mean, it does work. It's the same as remote tuning versus the dyno, and I just threw it on the dyno. Didn't even make a change to the tune. Made the power, made a change. It didn't change anything, and I was spot on. So, it's a nice tool. It's a safety piece. It does give you a readout, which is good. It's controlled. You know what I mean?
The 302, same thing. I threw it on the dyno after I tuned it. Yeah. It made 322. I was like, okay, let's throw a bit more timing in it, and it lost power.
Yeah.
The tune I had that I did fully on the street was the most optimized tune.
Yep. And and I also state too, I got some crazy customers out there that are doing these pulls on the street with 1,500 wheel horsepower. More power to you, but the truth is, on a very powerful vehicle, it's safer, much safer, because we also have to have a reaction time that's much quicker. And the truth is, on a big horsepower setup under wide open throttle,
milliseconds of reaction time.
It's amazing. And
Mike's here. Hey. Join the live. What are you eating? Show them.
I'm gonna grab some spice.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I didn't even make
He was just eating plain deli meat out of a bag. There was no bread. There was no cheese. It was just
times are tough, man.
Deli meat out of a bag.
Times are tough.
He's trying to drop weight for the races he's going to.
That's what I'm saying. So times are tough, So, yeah. So that's the beauty of the dyno, guys. You get a sheet, And now onto the we do take them off the dyno and then drive them on the street, right? So it's one of those things that, like I said, to get that drivability and everything, we do utilize it on the street. I've had it where I've driven a car, tuned it, I thought it drove great, and a customer picked it up and they wanted changes. So guess what happens? We then finished it remotely. So it's things like that allow it. So is one better than the other? I really think it's based on what you're trying to do. If you're, a 1,500 wheel twin turbo setup and you want every last bit of power, from a safety standpoint, let's get it on the rollers, right? I don't need it. I've had people ask, I need the dyno. I don't need it if you can get me the data. So what you're going to notice between the two is what matters is the quality of the data that you are going to provide in a data log, okay? Whether it's remotely, dyno, in-house, whatever the case may be. That is how we truly dial in a vehicle, is by data, okay? So however you can collect the most accurate and efficient data is what will allow us to dial a vehicle in. As I mentioned earlier, wide open throttle tuning is easy. What takes the time is startup, cold starts, idle, revving while in park neutral so that it catches itself.
Coming to a stop.
Coming to a stop. Fuel trims while cruising to optimize fuel economy and temperatures, right?
It's a fine-tuning
this is
little
where,
things.
And customers that have worked with me, that's where I do pride myself a lot. And some get frustrated because it takes me a lot longer, but I do my best and try to put as much time into it as I can. I have OCD. Guys know it. They'll send me a tune, I'll call it the final file, and I'll tweak it again because I see a 1% increase or decrease or ability to just tweak it even a little bit more. I honestly don't think I can say there's ever been a tune file that is completely done because I will keep going, okay? So that's where the time goes into it, and that's what you guys need to understand. Also, from a perspective of time frame, right? So let's go to time frames now. Remote tuning is based on when you get the data to me and when I have the ability to sit at a computer and send it back. Generally, 1 to 2 business days, I will respond to anybody, scheduled or not, via my email, okay? I know what you're going, let me finish, okay? So, understand that normally every morning I come into 30 to 50 emails from people from the past 24 to 48
if not
hours.
More.
If weekends, not more, right? I will do my best and always will respond to those emails. This is how I do it to keep it fair. I respond to the oldest emails first. Now understand, while I'm staring at a computer screen, if you send me 6 emails, right, it pushes you to the top of the list and you're going to wait longer. So I do have a message I send everybody that states that, but I am trying to be as fair as possible and it's first come, first serve, okay? But what if you just heard, I will be able to usually send emails or tunes to people, a couple dozen, if not more, a day. Different customers will get a tune file back, and then you can go collect that data and continue, okay? In person, I am one person. Now, sometimes I do just sacrifice and shut the day down and have my guys drive cars to try to knock them out, and it's basically remote tuning with my employees to try to not, get this process done, okay? But when I'm only one person and I have 6 cars that need remote in-house street tuning, I will sit in a car for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days sometimes tuning a car, okay? Now, I will bounce between cars to try to progress on them as I can. So, but understand that depending on the modifications, depending on where we're at with it, you know, what type of fuels it's running, and this, that, and the other. Like true flex fuel, guys, I take so much pride in that. I tune it on pump gas. I tune on E30, E40, E50, 70, 90, right? And then I drop it back down to make sure the changes I made. There's time that goes into that, okay? So it's one of those that, you know, this is why, you know, we can understand from your perspective where you think it's taking a long time, but not only am I tuning cars on the dyno, I do tune every car in the street. I will drive every single car that leaves my facility and make sure it's as best as it possibly can be. We have the discussions where people want to pick it up and handle the remote tuning there on after. Absolutely. Why?
Go for it.
Because then it's a combination of your time and mine, and like I said, it allows me to respond and get to those via email. So it's a tag team effort versus just me by myself. Okay, so that's kind of one of the hardest things. And honestly, I have to say I appreciate the business, appreciate how busy we are. We're very fortunate. It's one of those. I'm trying to expand the team, as you guys know. So again, there are job ads out there. We have 3 positions open still.
What are they?
We have a full-time technician, social media manager, and then customer support rep. So
He used to work with me.
yeah, him.
Fun.
That's such a perk.
Probably
So-
not a selling point that we want to advertise.
Yeah, well, but the one thing I do pride myself in is the tuning, right? And it's a very hard thing. It took me a long time and devotion to get where I'm at. So it does make it more difficult for me to try and like teach somebody else to be a tuner. Cause
How many years of your life have you dedicated to this?
What, 2 decades?
2 decades. So longer than you've been longer than you haven't.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
you have been tuning
I
for
thought you
more
were saying
time.
longer than you've been alive. But
Yeah,
that wouldn't
I
make
mean,
sense, so.
I'm 23.
Yeah. So
It's not
But
far
I mean,
off,
yeah,
brother.
you know, I've been doing it a long time, and the amount of money and time I've spent to perfect, or it's still not even perfect, but just to learn and grow with the Gen 3 Hemis. I have a ton in it, and I just don't know if I'd ever be able to teach all of it to somebody to make it beneficial for a business standpoint. And honestly, the truth is, I know if I did that, they'd probably become a competitor.
Dude, it's the hardest thing in the world. Like, I work with him daily. I get to see him tuning it daily. He shows me what he's doing daily, and it's still a challenge. Hemi is hard. The H in Hemi stands for hard to tune.
Yeah. So, it's funny. So, it's one of those things that, I'm very fortunate. I've come a long way from when it was just me and Arturo back in the day 7 years ago. And, there's 5 cars here at a time. It's we're very fortunate, but it is one of those things, any type of what they call growing pains. My position that I provide is very unique and very difficult to expand upon. So it turns into a one-man operation for that on top of everything else that's going on. So that's why, if we piggyback, we can do a combination in-house and remote tuning, okay? Not opposed to that. Now, honestly, I prefer that because it allows you as a customer, like I said, to learn your vehicle more. It allows you to get more comfortable. Trust me, if you're across the country and something happens, guess what? You'll probably have your phone on and you can send me a data log and we can look and see if it's okay to drive or whatever the case may be. So there is a massive perk to anybody that is comfortable remote tuning, from just troubleshooting. I can provide a no-start tune if you're parking it somewhere. If you on E85 and don't have a pump gas tune or whatever the case may be. There's so much that can go into it from a reliability, troubleshooting, and performance standpoint by remote
Ease
tuning.
of life.
So, what is better? I think if you can, a combination, right? Because the wide open throttle on the dyno is safe, and it does give us the ability to track and give you a cool little piece of paper or a screenshot, whatever you like. You get a cool video. Who doesn't like dyno? But at the same time, you learn so much by being able to remote tune, and you get more connected to the vehicle and understand right from wrong. So that's one of those things that I think the honest answer is both, if possible. That's what are they counting? Almost 8?
I don't know.
I don't know either. It's
I
1,
said
2,
I've
2.
been out of diapers for 2 years.
Oh, 2 years.
Yeah, well, Jeff said that you've been
okay.
tuning longer than I've been out of diapers.
Oh,
So,
yeah, it's one of those that both there, right? Now we're going to jump into a the third one, and this is where I might hurt some feelings out there, and this is my opinion, okay? So this isn't the holy be all whatever. Bench flashing. So we've gotten asked a ton lately. I don't know where the influx has come from, and
I think it's because we do PCM unlocking.
maybe, but we're getting asked a lot about bench flashing. Now I understand it from the GM world because we do those. Like I said, that's where I learned was GMs, right? Bench flashing. So I repeat for those that weren't here in the beginning, but bench flashing is you get a PCM, you make a wiring harness for it with an OBD2 port, and then you basically tune the computer via that, right? So that's great and all for, I guess, if you want a startup tune. That's good and all if it's a simple like MDS delete, okay? But if you're seeking any type of performance improvements or reliability improvements or a combination of those, you can't get that by a bench flash, and this is why. We have picked up and gained 2 horsepower, maybe 2 foot-pounds of torque out of an otherwise stock vehicle, okay? I've also gained 60 horsepower out of an otherwise stock vehicle. Why? The tunes were that far off, that different, because every vehicle is different. Dodge is very unique with the amount of calibration IDs that they have and the amount of computers that they have, so it makes it extra difficult. Fords and GMs have their simple box codes, and then literally the computer is the same for every year, make, that is alike.
Copy, paste, copy, paste, copy,
paste.
It
really is what it is, and then you dial it in towards the end, right? Versus Dodge, and it's recently I've had several people where their PCMs failed on older vehicles. They get a new one, and I do the time to transfer the settings over that I can, but it's not the same, and people are starting to learn how tedious these are, okay? I do know a lot of tuners out there that will use a template and then think and send it. Templates are good starting points. You can use them for little pieces like injector data. You can use it for a base timing table and this, that, and the other. But the truth is, because of the calibration IDs that Dodge offers for this product, it changes how the overall PCM works. And the problem I have with bench flashing is you're sending a computer in requesting for a modification to be done to that PCM and then getting it sent back. And there's companies that know advertising like, oh, we'll add power, improve efficiency, this, that, and the other, with no data logs there on after. Just like a while back, it hasn't been as bad. I got into disagreements with some potential customers where they were told by a different tuner because their vehicle's pretty much stock or bolt-on, they didn't need a wideband to actually dial in the vehicle. So it's the same concept. So my easy way to approach a subject like this is, if you think about a bench flash, right, and you think it's going to be beneficial, what I ask you is, when you get that computer back from a bench flash, what's your AFR wide open throttle?
Okay. Don't know.
When you go wide open throttle, how much are your knock sensors pulling out timing-wise?
Uh-oh.
Hold on, that was weird.
We do got like 10 minutes. I don't know if that's them calling early.
What do you mean? Oh.
Yeah, we're getting close.
Oh,
we probably should have said 2.
2 what? Oh,
no,
that's fine. So, we got 10 minutes. We're fine.
We got 10 minutes, fellas.
Now we'll call them back. But I think we'll be back now. But
yeah, we're live now.
Jeff, we have just in the past week we were informed that there's a openly advertising that they're doing it now, and more have stated they've done it for a while. So I think we're back. Hopefully people can hear us, but it's one of those. It's something that's newer popping up, and I think it's it's one of those people looking for options of how to generate more business, right? I'm not coming in it from a standpoint where somebody's trying to steal away, but I just don't think it's an appropriate, thing to offer to optimize performance and reliability. Like I said, little things where, for example, like guys on TRXs want their speed limiter raised up. Oh. Hey, Boogie Butt, I thought you'd be napping now. Aubrey, what are you doing? I heard you tried watching Minecraft. Goes again.
Sorry, guys. People don't know how voicemails work.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, cool. We'll go back. So, we were informed that people. It's now being a more proactive offering, and like I said, it's one of those. It's attractive to somebody to hear. Oh, I just send my computer in, it gets unlocked and comes back tuned, right? I get where convenience, that'd be great. You don't need a tuning device, so they're saying it's low cost. Yeah, in a world where if you just need a simple toggle, like a speed limiter or MDS, right, something like that, cool. But if you're going about an approach where you're saying you're tuning the vehicle for performance and reliability, like I said before, that's not true. And that's what I tell people all the time. And what I'll start doing now as we get more bolt-on and stock cars is I'll record the AFR on a stock tune so you guys can see it, of how bad it can be on certain vehicles, especially with like cat over temp protection and things like that kicking in when people throw basic bolt-ons on, right? So it's one of those things where I understand for simple little pieces, but to offer it as a performance improvement, or like people with cams. when you swap a cam on it, I've heard people with the confusion of like, oh, you just send me one file and it's done and we're good to go. Guys, that's never the case, okay?
What if you have exhaust leaks?
It's regardless of that,
of
that, or whatever mechanical issues, but to think that it's possible to just write a base tune in a PCM once and then have it complete, that's not true. That doesn't happen. It's not possible. I don't care who you are, how many cars you've done. Any of the real tuners out there are going to tell you that's not the case. You're going to have several revisions into any vehicle that's highly modified like that where internals are changed, let alone being able to offer it as a bench flash service.
I mean, I'm like 7 revisions, 10 revisions into the 300, and that car is literally a cold air intake.
Yeah.
That is it.
You guys would be really surprised at a proper, and this is one reason why our tunes may be more than the next guy, right? Because we actually care and we're putting our time and effort into it. Every tune I put out there is custom. I don't just flash settings in and duplicate. I dial it in based on what your vehicle's telling me, okay? And yeah, we can do that, Brandon, if you want. I'd gladly bring it down. We can make a day of it and maybe do a live with it or something and document accordingly. But you'd be the one actually we had the biggest horsepower gain was a Durango RT.
It was.
And to give an example, that customer reached out simply just to raise his speed limiter, and we told him it was in like an 18 or 19. So we're like, hey, you're gonna have to unlock your computer, put a smart access cable in it,
buy the
credits. So if we're gonna do it, let's make it worth it. So obviously, I know the trans tuning is a huge improvement on most cars from the factory. So with that combined, we'll dial it in. We're gonna make it worth your while. I was blown away at how bad this tune was from the factory. We confirmed. It pegged the wideband.
Yeah.
It pegged my AM wideband, which goes down to 8s, guys. It pegged it. That's how rich it was. I did nothing to it other than put it on the dyno. And it didn't even hit cat overtemp in that moment because it was cool at that moment. So it just goes to show you that the way they send these calibrations doesn't always mean that it's the most reliable, okay? And drivability-wise, fuel trims are off a little bit, right? But obviously what we're in the business for is performance. So when it comes from a factory computer, they're usually pretty good, right? They're obviously not out of the threshold of what they allow OEM, otherwise you get check engine lights for too lean or too rich. But wide open throttle, they don't care as much. They as long as it gets it here or there, that's all they kind of want. And although it's a RT for racing transmission, you know what I mean? It doesn't mean it's truly dialed in. It's literally, and anybody that's worked on cars or engines at all knows how different they can be. We've had guys make 450 horsepower after a cam on a 392 with the same exact cam profile, put in another one, it makes 495. That's how different it is. Almost a 40-50 horsepower swing, same mechanical parts, but everything is different. So understand the amount of fueling that that changes when you have that amount of cylinder pressure variance, right? So even stock vehicles can have it, right? And yeah, Alan, for example, he just sent me one. Weird stuff happens. We had a file, and all of a sudden it's 25% rich out of nowhere. I have no idea how that happened. Same tune, and all of a sudden things change, right? So, modified they change, stock they change. So, as a recap, we're talking about bench flashing and how, like I said, it's not a go-to or safe way to truly try and expect, power, performance, and reliability if you're trying to get any type of enhancement, right? If it's a simple toggle, I went from a automatic to a manual trans, I just need an MDS switched off. Okay. I want my speed limiter raised. Fine. You want to risk it, ignore the factory recommendations on speed for tires and engine and whatever.
Oh, my stock TRX to 150. Take off that stupid limiter.
Yeah, and then melt your motor.
It's there for a reason. They don't just do it for the heck of it.
It will melt. Yeah. Mark my word. Any TRX will melt on pump gas over 140 miles an hour if you
stop.
So that's why I put limiters on it. So anyways, those are the 3 tunings. Okay, remote tuning, dyno tuning, in-house tuning, and then bench tuning. I'm not a fan of bench tuning, guys. I don't think it's right or proper to advertise it for what it is in regards to a performance enhancement.
Even on stock cars.
It's mass-produced vehicles, and Bob knows mass.
Oh!
Yeah. and
Yeah.
production. But
Mass or mess for
whatever.
Bob?
Yes.
Both.
Yes.
Yeah, both
but
units.
like I said, it's one of those. If you got a guy out there that's not telling you need a wideband to dial in your vehicle, or
Yeah.
is just throwing 2 degrees at it to throw 2 degrees at it while it was knocking before the 2 degrees, you get what you pay for in that sense. So understand the risk
Heavy on
going
that.
into it.
Heavy on you get what you pay for with
Yeah.
this stuff.
So yeah, I'm not going to be cheap. I will never drop my prices for my tuning because I'm not the guy that's just throwing 2 degrees at it, leaning it out, and sending it, and turning cat over temp off.
Every
So,
single car gets a custom
it is-
calibration.
yeah. I will. Anybody that doesn't believe me, I will send you a dozen files from the same year, make, and model. None of them look the same. And why? It's because that's what the vehicle told me they wanted, right? So that's proper tuning and calibration. It takes time. So that's it. Those are the 3. So important to know, weigh your options. But I do think remote is remote is my preferred because it's actual across the board. Dyno's great for numbers and safety reasons and such. But the reality is, you will get a faster car racing. You will get a more dialed-in car, all done remote tuning. So yeah, that's
Mega
that one.
facts.
Mega facts. All right. Well, I think that was enough of me babbling on. And I found out somebody was using my tunes to go fast, so that was fun too.
What?
Remember in the group we got added to randomly?
Oh,
We
yeah.
won't use names, but that was fun. So we'll get on to questions you guys might have about any type of tuning, could you, should use, and things like that. So, Kyle, you mentioned about remote tuners, been through a lot. So here's the thing. If somebody turns off your remote, I don't know if you're still in here, Kyle, but we will say it. You asked a question if I would be able to turn off your rear O2s so you could pass inspection or emissions. I'll tell you this. If we turn them off, you will automatically fail. So the way to properly pass so that your monitors can go into a ready status is to leave them on. So with the EPA and things like that, they removed a lot of the abilities we had when it comes to tuning for emissions items like that. So the options you get from me are I can leave them on and all the settings stock, and what will most likely happen is you will get a check engine light telling you something's not happy because of missing emissions items, okay? The second option I have is I will turn everything off and force you to fail emissions, because I will not force or try to get anybody through emissions in any way, shape, or form. We don't care. We clearly state we are a off-road performance-focused business. So it's one of those things of, it is on our terms of service that, once we touch it and you start to throw non-OEM parts on it, you might not pass. So 2 options you get from us are we can leave all the stuff on and it will give you a check engine light on why you don't pass, or we can turn them off and just force you to fail. So it's the tuning world these days, the risk you take modifying a car. And it's one of those, we do have customers that ask us because they modded it, brand new vehicle, and now, a few years pass and it's due time. The truth is, guys, we're sorry. The only way we can guarantee emissions if it's in a stock tune and stock components are in place. Once you modify anything, the risk of not passing goes up drastically. So have I had people pass with highly modified vehicles? Absolutely. Not being forced, it's just one of those. It truly is luck of the draw. It gets more difficult and more sensitive for the drive cycles, which is what Dodge vehicles need. It's not miles based, it is cycle based, which people get confused on. I hear all the time, I drove 1,000 miles. It doesn't matter. If you go cross country and stop for gas and just get in your car and go, that might not even be technically one cycle if you didn't meet the parameter. So it does not matter the mileage, it is cycle based. Target 10 to 15 minutes of driving where the vehicle starts off cold and then gets turned off and then drops below 100 degrees coolant temp there on after. That would be considered a drive cycle as long as you met the parameters. So it can get tricky.
Throttle, you gotta pedal. It's
you got to baby it. You need a quarter to 3/4 tank of gas. You have to stay under 65 miles an hour. It's one of those. It's very tedious, and as we say, just drive it gingerly. I can say that because I'm a ginger. So just be very soft with it. And just, cruise in it, varying speeds in RPM, but staying, under 75% throttle is what I tell people just to be safe. But that's how a Gen 3 Hemi will be happy. But if you are missing OEM items, you are going to fail. It's just the way that it goes. So mod at your own risk.
Once we do the initial dyno pulls on the vehicle and we put it back on the street for street tuning, I know we kind of answered this. How many times do we have to go on the street? Everyone's different.
Right.
Do we ever then, once it's off the dyno on the street, do we ever put it back on the dyno? Or is it...
Generally, the only time that would happen is if there was something drastic I found and there was a mechanical change. And this is why. So on the dyno, what I'm mainly targeting, I'll do a couple, part throttle sweeps just to get us to a closer number. I try to target under 3% correction across the board. So we will slowly try to dial it down to that. But I don't care when it's on the dyno. I'm looking at wide open throttle. So generally, when... I'm done on the dyno for wide open throttle, I am not changing any tables or settings in the range of that amount of load, throttle percentage, or anything like that. So there are very, very rare occasions in which, after I tune it on the street, that I would want to put it back onto the dyno, unless something mechanical changed or there was something drastic that happened in the process. So no, not very common at all. For it to be done, I'd probably say since I've been doing this, maybe 2 or 3 have had to go back on after because I made such a drastic change. But that was also like monster builds with some R&D and development in place.
They never mentioned it was tuned with Diablo. And
don't talk about those cars.
I'm going to give him PTSD. Sorry.
Yeah.
Move to St. Louis. No one has legal plates. That's true. Jeff can definitely vouch for that.
Don't give names and then throw something like that out there. Yeah.
Dumb question, says Ray. Thank you for the self-awareness. Just kidding. We love you. If your battery dies, and this is a question I've gotten before, so it's not really a dumb question.
It's not a dumb question.
If your battery dies and you have to replace the battery, do you have to retune it? Do you have to put a tune back on and update the tune, or is it just leave it because it's still in the PCM?
So no, if a battery dies or you disconnect your car from it, whatever the case may be, the tune stays. I am going to be honest with you, this is above my pay grade on how, because when I try to think of things and I understand how a computer stores information, it's one of those kind of like a hard drive, right? Where if you think about your computer, if your computer dies and you pull a battery out and put it back in, do you lose all your information? You don't. The real fancy engineer people have ways to where it embeds the data even with full loss of power. So,
once the magic rocks and your computer start thinking, they tend to just keep thinking.
Yeah. Well, we use computers, phones, right?
Yeah.
If your phone dies, do you lose everything because it dies?
If you're on Boost, yeah.
It's the fancy engineers and the way they have the hard drives and memory built into it that allow it to stay that way. But no, if your battery dies or you have a car that's had no battery in it for 20 years, it's still going to pop off with the same exact tune that was in it 20 years ago. Some amazing science that I truly don't understand, but that is how it works. So, no. You don't have to worry if you disconnect your battery, remove it, whatever the case may be. Whatever tune is flash last is what will be there upon startup.
Not tuning, but is Hellcat related.
Yes.
Opinion on a third heat exchanger or interchiller blower spacers, any of the blower spacers that they got out there. Was that 3 options, or do they have the interchiller and they're warning which one works better? So it's kind of a 2-parter there.
Okay. Oh, so
because you got the Big Mac Daddy heat exchanger, then you got little one on the left side by your pumpy pump.
Right. So on the stock Hellcat, they have 2. They have the big one in the front by where the radiator is, then they have a small one off by where the actual pump is, usually on the driver's side for Hellcats, other locations for other cars. But they usually come with 2. It depends on the setup. Now, I'm going to start on the spacers. Do you say lid spacers or just spacers?
Spacers, I'm guessing they're the ones that spacers off the
So we've had this opinion about blower spacers. So it's basically big pieces of plastic that go in between the blower and the motor, the heads. So I've done testing on the dyno. I've done testing at the track. I data logs from remote tuning. I have not seen any type of actual performance improvements from spacers. So the only thing I've seen is visually like an IR gun going at it, that there's a temperature difference. But from a performance standpoint internally, it's so minor, I can't say that it's due to that, okay? So that's my feeling on it. I know the other claim on them is it fixes a factory boost leak. I'm going to tell you this. We've pumped 25 pounds of boost, 26 pounds of boost through stock blowers and stock blower gaskets. with no issue. And if there was a true boost leak, it would have drivability issues and things like that. I think what happens is, which I have seen, especially a couple weeks, I had a couple people do it during a pulley swap or installation of something. They create a boost leak by pinching the gasket,
especially on TRXs.
Yeah, TRXs.
Horrible for
horrible.
it.
So it's one of those that from the factory and stuff. I really don't. I can't say there's a boost leak or that I see boost increase from it. Also, I don't see I haven't really had a performance backing other than like an IR gun. So I can't say that the IAT temps are lower. I can't say that the quarter mile time or horsepower goes up from it. But I understand the theory and concept about aluminum casing from a blower and aluminum heads touching, transfer heat's better. You put plastic in between, it slows it down. But at the end of the day,
it's still in the engine bay. It's still getting hot.
It's in the engine bay, and the blower still has coolant flowing through it, and it still has rotor spinning at very high RPMs that create friction and heat. So, it's kind of, I don't see anything from that. So, in regards to an additional heat exchanger, what we've run into there is, it slows down the cooling process temporarily.
It takes longer to get through everything.
It takes longer to get through everything. So I think a little expansion on it's not a bad idea. Personally, if it was me, I would do an icy chiller first.
It's the move.
I would honestly do that. I wouldn't.
You could like open the door.
No, he's not going to do. He's going to.
Dude, delivery drivers sometimes.
Does he need to pick anything up?
Yeah.
Anyways, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, so. Me personally, if looking for any additional ways of cooling, I would do an icy chiller. So that's kind of. Hey, doing?
What's up, boss?
What we got? You can put them on.
Arturo.
What's this?
You can kick that one.
Yeah, that's fine. That's good.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
You got
pick up.
What are you?
Oh,
Are you
This is a
or-
ground.
I'm
That's
ground.
That's a ground one.
Yeah, that one's for me.
It's gonna be a heavy one. You got it.
Oh yeah. There we
All
go.
right. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
You too.
turbo going out.
So, yeah. So that's my opinion on that icy chiller overall. But yeah, out of the two, if you're going to do it, I think the heat exchanger might be a little bit better because it cools from the inside out on the cooling bricks potentially. But I think it's again very minor in such. If it's like a bumper mount, would be optimal. The ones inside the engine bay, I don't think are optimal because they're just getting cooked.
Yep.
So that's my opinion on those.
John Magic, he asks, is there a lid spacer? Will it allow more air to be packed in? Pros, cons.
So I actually did a bunch of testing on a lid spacer
Tons.
when they first came out 5 or 6 years ago. So the theory behind this on, for example, a stock Hellcat blower is understand that the rotors are on the base of the blower. They compress the air and shoot it up to where it's housed in the lid before it goes through the rotors. So the concept or theory behind it is that if you increase the reserve amount of air, meaning the air before the intercooler, that it will help reduce temperatures. Again, this is one of those that I've tested and I have yet to truly see any type of change or gains. I think it was a 2-inch spacer on mine. I did back-to-back dyno pulls and 3 dyno pulls with it, 3 dyno pulls without it, temperature controlled. Maybe a 3 horsepower swing, but that literally could have been just the air change or whatever the case may be. So I don't. I understand the theory and the concept. But at the end of the day, the air is going to get compressed regardless from the rotors, and then what actually cools the air is going to be the intercooler. So you're not changing the restriction, which is technically the intercooler bricks. I don't really think it's going to be that drastic of a change. My pulley combination at the time was a basic pulley combination. It wasn't anything crazy. I just had a 272 upper at the time. Maybe on like a ported blower setup with really aggressive pulley swap, maybe it might be beneficial, but I think it's one of those where it's so minuscule that I don't think it's going to be worth it, especially what the cost of these things are. So if interested, I think I have 2 available if anybody wants one.
I know for a fact there's one upstairs.
We have one.
I don't know where the longer bolts for it are. But if it gives you an idea of it, it's been for sale for 2 years.
No longer.
Yeah, I took it down.
Yeah, that's right. It's been freshly now 2 years,
Yeah.
but I had it for sale before that. So it's one of those I don't really.
Take the money,
I don't know.
buy like 30 Satera tuning stickers because those are all 5 horsepower gains. You'll get more gains out of those.
Yeah, like he said. So Concept theory, I get it.
Jeff has one for sale.
Jeff has one too.
Buy Jeff's, that way he can buy a converter.
Yes. Don't worry about mine.
Yeah,
we'll just hang
screw
mine
us. Go get Jeff's.
Yeah, we'll just hang mine on the wall. So,
For
I just don't think it's worth it or beneficial in any way, shape, or form. Just like lids, like aftermarket lids. I understand what people are saying. Mm-hmm. We have a design concept to make one too, to make it pretty and open up the volume.
They're cool looking.
Yeah,
Not going to lie, when it's billet and it has a cool design in it, yes. Is it pop your hood and that's a wow piece? Yes.
Yeah.
Does it actually get you the horsepower that you could get by spending that same money elsewhere?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sold on it. It's just anytime I had somebody here that had their own lid that they wanted to test, and how much was that one? Was that one like 2 or 3 horsepower or something, or 4 maybe?
I think it was 3 horsepower.
Yeah,
one of them was like 10, but that was probably a heat soak.
Well, that was
difference.
the first one after it sat and we swapped the lid.
Yeah.
But it's one of those like pointing at it saying that my in front of you couldn't close the hood because it was so big. I mean, this thing was massive.
You're right. You couldn't close the hood.
Yeah, I couldn't close the hood, so we had to swap back the other one. So that was a massive change. It wasn't like a minor one, and like I said, I couldn't say that the horsepower change was due to the lid space or the lid itself. It was more of the downtime from sitting or whatnot. So, yeah, great question. And in theory, I understand. So maybe these theory concepts with blower spacers and then a lid that increases volume and then an IC chiller and then you know what I mean.
Mark, you needed that AC chiller. I mean, next year. Next year?
Yeah.
For the next Dragon Drive you do, let's talk about it. Let's get you in and let's get you comfortable.
Yeah, Mark came a long way from being scared of what happened because of the lifter to
dogging his car.
And that flex fuel.
So easy, baby. Look at that shit work.
Yeah, Mark. Other Mark's coming back for it now. Your twin. So
you convinced him.
So yeah, that's it for that.
Here's one I saw, which is really baffling, and I don't understand the thought process on it, but everyone has the internet, and anyone can post whatever they think on the internet as a factual statement.
Yeah.
Will a tune make your car leak? Hey, I just uploaded this tune. He beat me, and now he hurt his shoulder. He threw it out, slapping me.
Yeah.
Beating on...
No, it's
Okay.
we scared him away.
I put your tune in my car, and now there's a puddle of oil in my driveway. Why did your tune make my car leak? I didn't.
We hear very interesting things that people blame.
Your
tunes
car
for.
has 200,000 miles and is a pile of hot garbage. I'm surprised it hasn't leaked before.
Yeah, it's one of those guys that we joke about it, but it's a good question to ask yourself when it comes during tuning process, or if it's post tuning 6 months later, whatever the case may be. How did that computer cause XYZ? It's kind of a good way to approach it. As we say, when we say tunes don't change, now obviously there's adaptives, right? So it adjusts the, fueling here and there. It adjusts, based on IATs and ECTs and stuff. But more so when a tuner like myself says a tune doesn't change, if time passes, it's not tune related. Okay, so if you were driving the car and it was great and everything was beautiful, and then all of a sudden things started happening, it's not tune related.
I put my car away from storage and I brought it out, and now it's 30% rich.
Yeah. So these are things you have to understand. And like I said, we're here for the questions and things like that, but it's just that understanding of like, tune's done. This now goes into mechanical and diagnostic, totally different. So we use the analogy all the time, like, oh, you got plumbing done, and then you want to ask them about electrical work. Very different approaches to things. This also goes to scheduling too.
If you drop your car off and you say, hey, it's 100% done, and we believe you and we take it in for a tune, and then we find out that XYZ are missing or not in the right orientation, and then you're like, well, I dropped my car off for a tune. Why isn't it being tuned? Our mechanical schedule is not the same as our tuning schedule. Very different. Right. You have to understand that. So when you do bring your car in, we do put on the dyno, and you say, okay, well, let's fix that. It's not going to be on the next day because it needs to enter the mechanical schedule. That's why we like remote tuning first. That's why you guys that hit me up and say, no, I know it's mechanically sound. I can't tell you how many guys have told me that, and then we get a data log from them, and there's a 30% bank-to-bank variance. It's not mechanically sound. That is why we do the remote tuning, so we can figure that out.
That's true. Yeah. So those that
I kind of got off track,
you
but
did. It's okay.
yeah,
But
so
to
we.
prerequisite that I have a rule: if your car is modified and you want in-house tuning, we have to start remotely first
Yes.
for this reason. That or we have to do a health check prior to inspect and make sure that there are no mechanical issues, so it doesn't eat into my dyno schedule as well. So. But yes, my tunes have been known to, when the gas pedal is depressed, to eat and consume fuel. I am sorry for the fun that it provides. So, yeah.
Can we increase boost without external mods on a supercharged setup, like a Hellcat? Or is that what you're kind of referring to? And then could the extra boost blow a seal on an improperly maintained vehicle? I can speak from experience. Yes, it will blow a seal. It blew all of mine. I don't have a single rubber seal left on my car that's in proper shape because I did no maintenance before doing it. Absolutely, it will blow out seals. I mean, rear mains, we see them get cooked all the time just because someone... Valve covers,
yep.
Tons of valve covers.
I think we have one here with the valve cover seal because of it. Yep.
Front cranks even. I mean,
those two, yep.
If there is pressure, if you're somewhat clapped, I'm not saying your car is John because your car is actually well built. If you 100,000 miles, whatever, you might have a little bit of a loosey-goosey motor. Some of that pressure is going to make it down past the ringy rings and into your crank. Where does it go?
Even on new motors.
Even on new
aren't
motors.
seated, so it's very possible.
Yes.
So the first part of the question, tuning, I can't increase boost. Boost is based on a mechanical drive on a Hellcat or supercharged application. Your boost is determined based on this rate of speed that you're spinning the rotors.
An easy way to change it is with the rings of hell with the swappable rings, where it's 5 bolts and you put a new ring.
Right. So blowers get their boost based on mechanical pieces. Now, for example, John, on yours you have what's called a smooth boost. So that actually controls the bypass valve, so you can turn boost down, but you can't turn boost up. So there will always be a maximum level, and that is determined by mechanical limitations, so pulley combinations. Turbos, yes, you can tune, but not necessarily in a factory computer from... to boost levels there, but from an electronic boost controller as well. Turbos have that flexibility, but from a blower, your maximum boost is determined by a belt and pulley combination. Yeah. And then yes, higher boost levels, you have to worry about crankcase ventilation. That's why we have those right there. See that little hole
those
there?
holes on them?
That little hole and that little hole. It's to aid with proper crankcase ventilation. So the one we were referencing on the lift was a 392 base setup that 392s from the factory, because they are NA, don't have a lot of crankcase ventilation.
I showed you all the oil in that sucker.
Yeah, so once you add a blower, forge the motor, and really increase the potential for crankcase pressure, if it's not vented, it gets sucked into the motor. So or it blow seals out. We think that one has a leaking valve cover gasket. So crankcase ventilation is huge, and this is why on Hellcat powered vehicles it has those big old baffles on it, because the engineers knew what they were doing and wanted to help regulate that accordingly. So that's why there's a PCV valve on one side and an open air side on the other, and one is post rotor, or post throttle body, and one is pre throttle body. So multiple ways to aid with crankcase ventilation on Hellcat powered vehicles, but if you're a non-Hellcat, it's not quite the same. So you're right.
That coffee ain't coffee, and it's doing like the reverse.
Did you drink it all?
I drank it all, and I'm more tired than when I started.
Yeah, I was going to say, so, that's enough, because I do have a call with somebody, because last piece for the handful, a couple dozen of you guys that are still in here. If you saw, our censored flex fuel is now offered through another tuner. Zedong has joined the team.
Big dog!
We sent it to him. He installed it on a customer's car, got it tuned, loves how it works. So we are working to expand it, guys. I'm one person, and I kept it in-house for a long time just because I wanted to control the quality of the product that went out, and I understand I'm limited to what I can do. The reality is, a true flex fuel car censored flex fuel car takes me like 2 to 3 weeks at a time to tune it. So you can do the math of how many I can successfully do in a year, and that's very limited. So I wanted to be able to give this product to more people. So that's where Barth Tuning, myself, and Zedong now are the approved tuners for the product. I've worked with them, taught them, and it's one of those too. By having more tuners, we can build our head together, continue to improve the product if there's possibilities for it. We can work with HP tuners to add tables and possibilities. So we're trying to spread it out, across the country. So we got Texas, Georgia, and us up north. So might expand it to a couple more but because we still want to have control on it to make sure the quality doesn't slip just by getting too many people involved with it. So, Ryan, I was trying to move to Texas for a couple of years, and market sucks, and it's very difficult to move multiple businesses and 3 beautiful little girls that are embedded in school up here. So we have wanted to move to Texas. We were talking about it, trying to do it. And I wouldn't say it's out of the question, but right now we are still at home base up here in Illinois. So we do have Zedong down in Texas that offers this product.
If anyone has a 14,000 square foot building they want to give us for pennies on the dollar and not care about the amount of vehicles there, the noise we're making, let us know. We'd be happy to talk to you. Yeah. But the market sucks dog water, and it's hot and it's dry.
This isn't dry.
And they got tornadoes.
Oh, you mean
and
Texas?
We got Texas.
Texas, there's more buildings down there. The problem is trying to find a building here because we can't move to Texas yet. But anyway,
that's what I'm saying. And the Civics are rust free.
I saw some very interesting things when I was down there visiting. So
yeah.
That being said, like I said, our sensor flex field can now be offered remotely.
You know, the Wisdom.
The Wisdom.
Bro.
So it can be offered remotely, so we can ship you the kit, self-install, and then we can tune it remotely. It also is offered through Zedong Home Bark Tuning on top of us as well. So,
we need that Wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah, Tom, gotta get back to the track, my friend. Let's get that down even further. So, the E85 in Texas does suck. So that's why, censored flex fuel is very, 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 very important. So.
Or, if you're a pimp, what you can do is you can hit up our friends at Outfront Racing Fuel, and you can get some 55-gallon drums shipped to your house if you're in Texas with Sucky 85. And you don't have to worry about the Sucky 85 because you have proper, high-quality 85 from our good friends at Outfront Racing Fuel. Plug.
All right, guys. It's hot. I need to turn the fan back on, so...
What's the old head's wisdom of the day?
Men, take care of them beats.
Men, take care. Bro.
You don't want to have them eagle talons out here.
Oh, jeez.
Take care of them things. I like your heartbeat.
Oh, man.
Go get a pedicure. Yeah, go get a pedicure, fellas.
All right, guys. Thank you, everybody. Stay cool this weekend. We know the heat wave's going everywhere. So, everybody be safe. We'll see you next week.